All right. Good evening, race fans. Welcome to episode 2 of PDRA Live. We kind of had to skip episode 2 at Beach Bend due to some technical difficulties, but I'm joined with by Tyler Crossnow and Nate Van Wagnen from Drag Illustrated, and we're here to tell you all about what's getting ready to go down in Norwalk, Ohio. And looking at Tyler, that's where he's at currently. Looks like it's a bright, sunny day there.
It is. It's a gorgeous day. I like how you said what's going to happen in Norwalk, Ohio. What's happening in Norwalk, Ohio. Let's get that correct, sir.
Some of us are already there getting things ready to go. Others traveling that way shortly. But what's on tap for this weekend, Tyler?
Man, it looks like we're going to have a heck of an event up here in Norwalk. Weather kind of looks a little shady, but I mean, come on now. It's PDRA. It's the Professional Drought Relief Association is in Norwalk, Ohio for the second year in a row. And we're doing our jobs to make sure that this pretty green grass that Bill Bader has stays as green as it is. And we're just making sure we get a good watering on that thing. Looks like we got a little chance of showers on Friday. And it's getting better and better and better. Bill and I sat down earlier today and we were talking about it. And it's like, man, this looks tough. And then 3 hours later, we're like, man, I think we might can pull this thing off and get more than we think. So we're kind of looking at all scenarios and battling things out here. But looks like we're going to be able to finish this bad boy out. We have a better forecast than we did last year, and we completed last year's event. So I'm optimistic and pretty confident going into this deal. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend. Facility is absolutely pinpoint top-notch, as it always is. The Bader guarantee comes through as always. And we're looking forward to putting PDRA on the racetrack back here at Norwalk, Ohio. Coming back with pretty much a full roster of all our classes. I know in Beach Bend we didn't have our bikes in our Pro Street categories, but those two classes are back in action here at race number 3 on the 2022 season. So it's going to be one of those weekends where you got a full plate and you got a whole lot to watch. If you can't make it out, we'll be on Flow Racing all weekend long. We're going to give you one hell of a show, that's for sure.
Well, last year was my first trip to Norwalk ever, and it did not disappoint. The racetrack, the facility itself is just amazing. If you've never been there, put it on the bucket list. If you can't make it this weekend to the PDRA, definitely come check out an event there because that is one immaculate facility. And we got to experience all 4 seasons in like 3 days up there. It was pretty cool, you know. But I was also impressed by the car counts and the actual quality of cars and the fast dragsters and the door cars that are up in that area that generally don't come down south to some of our other events. But it was a lot of fun last year, and I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, I mean, Division III's got some of the fastest cars out there. Nate knows that from being at Lucas last weekend with Top Sportsman, Top Dragster. Some of the top dragsters in D3 are some of the fastest in the country. We bring that out, especially with our elite top dragster field, our top 16. And they will definitely be on showcase this weekend. We've already got a stacking line started up over in Linder's lot. I'm looking at it out the tower right now. So, I mean, we're stacking them already in, and it's going to be a great weekend. Sportsman's always huge here. Top Sportsman's one of the biggest classes always at Norwalk. I can remember coming here and racing in Shakedown in 2018 or 2017, and this area for Top Sportsman was absolutely huge. Whether it's quarter mile or eighth mile, those guys didn't seem to matter. They turn out here, and that's for sure. And as you can tell, Scotty did mention that this was his first time to Norwalk last season. We can also tell Scotty did not pass on the dollar ice cream.
No, I was into it, buddy.
We made sure that the tower was like, I think the tower announcing crew had like sampled every flavor by the end of the weekend. But the bad part is like the tower race director timing system area of the tower never got a chance. It was over before it got to our side. So I'm still working on my little bit. This is my 4th or 5th time to Norwalk, and I think I've had one thing of ice cream. So, well, maybe we can change that this weekend. But yeah, it's going to be one of those races where something always special happens at Norwalk. I know last time we were here, we had a couple of first-time winners and big ETs, had a couple of national records, even getting – I don't know if we knocked any over, but we were knocking on the door to a couple of them, especially in Pro Boost. Pro Nitrous was fast back then. I mean, and we always are talking about Extreme Pro Stock, and it looks like it's going to be an absolute barn burner, copyright West Buck, for this weekend. Looking like we will have a full 16-car field and possibly even sending some home. If the rumor mill stays true, may have one of our largest car counts ever in Extreme Pro stock here this weekend at Norwalk.
And Norwalk produced last season one of the most iconic pictures of the 21 season of Jesse Lambert going through the traps in his pro street car on the rear tires and wheelie bars. That was quite a show, and I'm excited to see those guys come out again. They weren't at Beach Bend, so we'll get to see those guys out there again, laying down some passes. But so before we get into like our recap of where we're at in the season so far, Tyler, let everybody know kind of like a tentative schedule. And I say tentative due to the unlikely event that it might have some precipitation. But, currently, let everybody know that's watching that's maybe in there and thinking about coming out when they should come out.
Yeah, tomorrow looks like we're going to open registration between 12 and 2 o'clock. Kind of gives us an area to work up, get everybody parked in the racetrack, get everybody figured out. Vendors get loaded in as well at the same time. We'll hopefully get all that done by 9 o'clock. Overnight stacking starts in. Then Thursday, we start on the racetrack. We'll start with our PDRA pre-race testing session that we always have on Thursday. We're looking at the weather overnight tonight. Possibility that we will be moving Pro Q1 into Thursday night. We'll make that final decision in the morning. We'll have that out on our PDRA social media channels on our website, and we'll make sure we get an updated event schedule posted when and if that happens. If so, we'll kind of bottleneck around Friday. That'll move some stuff out of Friday. If Friday cleans up and we have weather and everybody gets 4 sessions, man, wouldn't that be great for our pros? If not, then we'll battle it as we always do. But tentatively, we're working on looking at that schedule. We're battling that back and forth. That's kind of a first time out announcement on that. But I mean, it's not anything 100% done yet, but it is on the table. We'll make a final decision on that before lunch tomorrow, before the gate opens. So that'd be our tentative plan right now. And our goal is to still wrap this bad boy up on Saturday evening under the lights here at Summit Motorsports Park, Crown Champions. That way we can all head home on Sunday morning and be able to enjoy our Memorial Day weekend with our friends and family.
And as always, stay tuned to the Facebook page for any schedule changes, or PDRA660.com for that kind of information as well. So
exactly. And we'll do our best to get that stuff out as early as we can. We want to be able to let our fans and everybody that's coming to the racetrack to race, our fans in the stands, and then our fans at home on Flow Racing. We want to keep you guys updated. We want everybody to know what's going on as it happens and as we go through the weekend and be able to crown champions for race number 3.
So let's talk about where we're sitting so far in the season, and we'll start out with Schweitzer Dynamics Pro Nitrous. First race of the season, Halsey gets knocked out first round, and the sky's falling. Everybody's screaming and hollering. Down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier. But, it didn't take him long to rebound.
No.
He snapped back there at the Door Slammer Derby. Now, Tommy Franklin showed some strength and got the number 1 spot in qualifying, but Halsey straight to the winner's circle through eliminations. I mean, and I thought one of the cool key matchups of that whole event was the final round where he met Mike Achenbach, and Brandon Schweitzer obviously has a hand in both of those cars. So, I mean, I'm not saying, he would prepare them any differently, but Achenbach's been in 2 finals now. Halsey's got a win. Achenbach has a win, and both of them are Schweitzer tuned machines. So if you're a Pro Nitrous guy, are you knocking on Brandon Schweitzer's door trying to get some help? Or
if you're not, you're a little late. Past 3-time champions already got that door hammered in and got the hinges locked down.
Barricaded.
Let Mike Achenbach in. He might have done kicked him out after the way the season started, but the Mountain Man, he's definitely come out in 2022 flexing muscles. And like you said, down goes Frazier at the first round at Galot, but every good fighter can take a punch, and Mr. Halsey proved that as well. Took a hard punching Galot, went out, tested, figured out what his program was, and came back out at Bowling Green and put a win on the board. But I mean, there's cars out there, man. Everybody that buys a Pro Nitrous Tech card is tough. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the qualifying sheet says. The only thing that qualifying sheet tells you is that somebody took the tree and they're coming to eliminations. what that number beside it says. If it says 1, 15, 16, 10, 8, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you're going up there and turning on the bottom bulb, and you're going to turn loose the button when those 3 ambers flash. Because we've seen it. We've seen it in Pro Nitrous. We've seen it in every class we've got. That number beside your name after 3 rounds of qualifying just proves that you made it down the racetrack 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times, and you put up a respective number. But when it comes to race day, it's race day. That's why we don't race on paper, and we don't do anything else like that. You line them up and you send them down the racetrack, and that just goes to show that Pro Nitrous field is so tough. I mean, you see guys like Jason Harris coming back into the fold this year, chasing the championship. Tommy Franklin's back in the Jungle Rat. Ed Burnley in the Ironman Camaro. Like you said, Achenbach is leading the way with 2 finals. Jay Cox and Marcus Butner with the Butner construction team. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I hate name dropping because I know I'm going to forget somebody. But like, that field is so stacked. I mean, we look at it every race whenever the ladder prints out. Nate, you and I talk about it all the time. It's like, oh, look at that sheet. Like, you can't pick a winner because there's so many tough matchups, whether it's first round or the semis and the finals.
I agree with that 100%. Now, moving to our other our other pro mod class, the Pro Boost class, that's been a little bit of domination so far this season. And
a little.
Well, all right, a little more than a little. But what I'm getting at is, last year that class was insane when it came down to points. It came to the final round of the season to determine the champion, and Todd Tutterow was in that mix. He's going about it a little bit differently this year. He's just kicking their teeth in right from the start, going to build a great big lead and hopefully hang on to it. He sits at 1078 after 2 races at his points, and Preston Tanner sits in second place at 675. I am impressed with Preston Tanner. He, for a young kid, 22 years old, I believe he is. He conducts himself as professionally as guys that have been in the sport for years, and he's finally got the right people in place. I feel like he's got YO Motors, I think it is this year.
He's got Todd Tutterow power.
Todd Tutterow power, and I think it's Jeff Pierce helping him, right?
Yep, yeah, that's correct.
So I feel like he's got the right pieces in place, and the results are showing. He made it to the final round at Beach Bend,
and he was leading that race in the final round. He had a pretty good lead on Todd, and I know they had some mechanical issues that slowed him down there in the final, but he was on his way to his first Pro Boost win against one of the best to ever do it, and that just says a lot about what the Tanner family's put together, and I know we're going to see them going some rounds again this weekend.
And I agree. I think that boy's going to be in the winner's circle before the end of the season.
That's a safe bet, Scotty. It's a very
I'm safe with my bets, and I'll go ahead and take that one.
Exactly. Preston's been driving the wheels off that thing, and he drove really well last year. I know they made some combination changes. I think they made a transmission change in the offseason. As you mentioned, he's got Todd Tutterow power now from WYO Motorsports. But Preston's like a really, really good driver. And a lot of people look at Preston and say, man, he's 22 years old. He's a young gun, blah, blah, blah. What do you do? Just hop out of a junior and jump into a pro mod. And that's not the way it went. Preston was in a 450, 440 top sportsman car, jumps up and goes 370s in top dragster. And really speed has never affected Preston. I've gotten to watch him from when he was driving an X275 car to when he jumped in top dragster, and now he's moved into Pro Boost, and he has been an absolute wheelman, and I couldn't be more proud of him, and really just doing an excellent job behind the wheel. But like you said, Todd Tutterow, he's lit 8 win lights, and there's only been 8 to light so far this season, and he hasn't done it all in horsepower. A lot of people, you come out and you go, oh, well, if he's won 2 races, there must be something wrong. And there's not. Todd has flat out won a lot of races on the tree. He's won multiple races out driving people. I'll be the first to say that P2 contract in Camaro has not been the easiest thing to drive down the racetrack. He is not in that car to turn loose of the button and just cruising down Broadway. No. There's a couple of runs that Todd went 690 feet to win a 660-foot race. But you can't take that away from the man. He's done an excellent job. He's done an excellent job in the offseason. I know they made some moves to Fuel Tech on his hot rod for power management and some other things that seem to be a very, very potent combination when it comes to turning on wind lights, because Todd has done that this season. And you can't ever count out Kurt Stedding, the other half of the P2 team. Melanie Salemi has been an absolute rocket ship, but has had just some bad luck. Got beat on a whole shot at Galat, then just had some bad luck in Bowling Green from parts attrition. But as Vinny says in the comments, it's really coming down to who's going to turn loose the button on the starting line first.
Absolutely.
And that's been in our top 3 classes. And I'll put that up against anybody and any series out there. Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, and Pro Stock. Our competition level, as far as combinations to elapsed times and how tight it is, I'll put that up against anybody, any series, any class in drag racing right now. Those 3 have flat out put on a clinic for the first 2 races of the year. As far as there's not a clear-cut advantage in a rule book. There's not a engine builder that's clear-cut better. There's not a power outer that's better. There's not a transmission that's better when it comes to Pro Stock. It is flat out incredible how close all these cars are right now. And when you talk about Pro Boost, you're talking roots blowers, screw blowers, Pro Chargers. We haven't had a twin turbo combination, but I'd love to see a twin turbo combination come back. And it comes down to, you got Proline racing engines, you got Tutterode with WYO, you've got Albilis coming back into the mix that we haven't seen in a couple of years. You got Eddie Whalen and the Mike Stawicki power for Salemi. I mean, the number of engine builders, the number of everything that's going on in that class right now is flat out unbelievable, and how tight that it is. And that just goes to show the staff here at PDRA, the technical team with John Sears and Vinny and everybody that's involved in that. The hard work has paid off. The headaches, the beating your heads off the counter, the 30, 45-minute phone calls that nobody sees, it's paid off. And I really feel like I'm very, very proud of all of our crew that has done an excellent job to get us to where we are right now. And really, when it comes down to it, let's be honest, and I know you two guys will completely agree and understand with this statement. Nobody wants to come out and watch a drag race where one guy shakes off the starting line or one guy doesn't get down and it's one car playing domination mode or 2 cars playing domination mode. And it's not the case at the PDRA. It is flat out unbelievable when it comes down to those 3 classes, and all of them really. We haven't even got to Pro Street, 632, motorcycles, top sportsman, top dragster, everything we've got. And then the baddest kids in the world in top and pro junior dragster. But it's the 3 top classes that get the attention and that get the headlines a lot of times that people talk about. The racing can't be better, and I couldn't be any more proud.
A testament to what you said. Federo hasn't been a number 1 qualifier yet. It's been a roots blower, and then Robert Gallegos, which I believe is in the Pro Charger. So, I mean, and Tuttaro's not even there yet, but I mean, he's obviously got a great race setup. So that's propelled him to the points lead and 2 event wins so far. That winners list is right short on my
Wait, copy and paste.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to move us over to Extreme Pro Stock, and I'm kind of disappointed that Wes isn't on the show tonight because this is his forte right here. But and it's hard not to get excited about Pro Stock this season. We've had a phenomenal amount of mountain motor cars come out of the woodwork. They've been around. They haven't gone anywhere, but they've all come out. And man, it's been amazing. We had 3 new cars show up that weren't at the first event, at the second event. And there's still guys that are building cars or have personal issues that they can't be out with us right now, that they plan on attending races later on in the seasons. But man, is 2022 going to be the year for Mountain Motor Pro Stock? I mean, I feel like it's amazing so far. And it's probably been one of the more fun classes to watch. As Tyler talked about close ETs. I mean, they're all like just bunched together. It's unreal. And even now in the points are tied right now at the top. Powers and Placino, 2 that we're used to seeing up there. But you've got JR Carr in 3rd. That's probably the best start to a season he's ever had. He's been our number 1 qualifier at 9 out of the last 10 PDRA events. he's got the power. He's just got to get his race program together a little bit better, and I think he'll be at the top of the sheet as far as points goes.
They don't call Frank Gould out of the flying meatball for nothing. My man knows how to make some horsepower. There's no doubt about it.
It's awesome.
Talking about the parity in pro stock, I was just looking at the qualifying sheet from Bowling Green. The top 7 guys are all in the 4.0s. That's just something that we haven't seen in pro stock, mountain motor pro stock, in years. And like you said, there are more cars coming out. I know we're at least going to gain Junior Ward and Eddie Buck's hot rod this weekend. I think there might be a couple more coming, and we're going to see Stephen Boone, past world champion, come back later in the season once he's healed up. So yeah, pro stock is definitely one of the classes to watch this year.
Man, I'm gonna have to eat my words on that one. Man, 3 years ago I was like, man, what is this class, and what is John Montecalvo? Who is this guy in my phone? Like, why is this guy telling me like all these notes and sending me this chapter book after every race? And it comes down to it 3 years later. Man, I gotta say it, he was right. Not about everything though. I'm not taking that one. But like you guys have said, and we've said it for years, the class has so much potential because it's not the deal where you're trying to put a Pro Charger car against a screw blower car or a nitrous car against a blower car. You don't have that. Everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody has the same programs. Close. You have your engine builders, your Kazis, your Sunnies, all that. It is where you get, it's the engine builder's challenge when it comes down to it. And that makes it really fun. It makes it fun for the guys that are at the shops that are doing the hard work for these racers, giving them all the horsepower. So it's cool that they can come out and you kind of get a little sense of pride. You get to poke your chest out when you walk in on Monday morning when your horsepower went and parked it in the winter circle over the weekend. So like you guys have said, pro stock has been flat out incredible. The 2 past world champions, Johnny Placino and Chris Powers, both of them, like you said, Scotty, they're tied for the point lead. And I can guarantee you they will not be tied when they leave this place. Now, they may not even be in the points lead.
Yeah,
maybe. We can promise you those 2 will not be tied.
But I don't know what else we can really say about it. But more cars coming. That is, in my opinion, out of all of our professional classes, to me, that's the one to watch. It's a resurgence in a class that we've all watched growing up and carrying on. But just the amount of different people and seeing different hot rods and all that, it's a lot of fun for me to see that class come back as it has this season. It's been pretty.
And really for me, I came from a Midwest background with growing up in Tennessee and stuff like that. So I was never really around the class in the heyday. We'd see it come through with IHRA every now and then, but and never really got to see it as a kid growing up. But now, being in the middle of it, it's really awesome to see the class come back into its own. And I know that sounds terrible, and you should never say that something's coming back. But we've seen it all year round. There's other fads of racing that are taking the wrong direction right now. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like we're not. I really feel like the Extreme Pro Stock class is heading in the right direction. Pro Boost and Pro Nitrous are heading in the right direction, and everything else as well is getting its feet under it to head in that way. But it's really cool, and it's really, I'm not going to say calming, but it's a confidence level when your 3 top classes are going in the right direction. There's a lot of other people in the sport that can't say that. So we're blessed right now to have this core group of racers that travels with us. It follows us everywhere we go. And that's why we work as hard as we do. And I'll speak to that for the ownership group of Tommy and Judy Franklin. I'll speak to that for the group of all the employees that work here. That's why we work that hard. There's a lot of people out there that, it rained 14 sprinkles, we're done. Yeah, and we see it. And Nate, you and I have that conversation a lot of, man, could that have been recovered? Yeah, it could have. And that's what makes these people come out and support us and drive and make those drives over. They know we're not going to quit. And the only way we're not going to be able to pull it off is if there's just no humanly possible way that we can. And that just instills confidence in everybody. And it lets them believe that, hey, we're going to go and there's going to be a champion. I hope it's me whenever I go. And I hope that me driving out there and making my crew go out there with us is going to be worth it. But instilling that confidence in all of our racers and all of our fans for the last 3 to 4 years since I've been around has been a really humbling experience to know that, they know when we go into battle that we're going to give everything we've got. And we know that when they go into battle, they're going to give everything that they've got. And for the first 2 races of this year and the ending races of last season, I don't put anybody on top of PDRA. I don't see any other group out there that is that has the tightest races that we do. And Extreme Pro Stock is really proving that. I'll be the first one to say it. They were at the Virginia NHRA Nationals, and other than Larry McBride, Mountain Motor Pro Stock was one of the biggest things talked about in the pits when I was there, and heard people, people were stopping me going, man, your PDRA guys are rocking it over there. Did you see JR Carr run that big run going number 1 and taking the win? And I'm going, yes, I did. That's a PDRA car. By the way, let me turn my hat around. It says PDRA on it, so that way you know what I'm talking about. And it was, you had a sense of pride, and it was cool to have that at home. We hated not having 500-inch cars, but all that did for us at the end of the day was, man, that made PDRA look good, in my opinion. To have nitro cars and nitro drivers and crews stop me and go, man, those guys that's awesome. Did you see how fast they went? Yes, I did. I see that every weekend when we get to do that. So to see Elijah Morton go number 1 qualifier, to see JR Carr take the win, that was a proud moment for me. I know it was a proud moment for Tommy and Judy as well, to see our guys going to NHRA, and I'm not going to say stealing the show, but being a prime time hitter when people were talking about the recap of the event on Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely. And just to make you feel a little bit better, one of my kids asked me, what's the weather going to be like, Daddy, where you're going this week? I said, it doesn't matter. I said, it doesn't.
And I bet I know which one it was, too.
Yeah. You know which one.
The little one.
Yep.
Most of them are like this tall. He's that tall.
Yeah, but he's
like,
got.
I bet it was him.
So, anyhow, moving on, we're going to go to Shameless Racing Pro 632, and I have done it. I have figured out the go-to combo in that class. It's a college-age female and a Camaro, because that seems to be,
Hey, man, Johnny Placino just threw a water bottle right now. I heard it hit the wall.
There is different combinations in that class, obviously, but I know we talk about her a lot, and it's hard not to because of what she's accomplished in such a short 632 career. But picking up her first win at Beach Bend was Amber Franklin, and that in itself is amazing. That was what, her 5th race, maybe 4th?
I think that was her 5th race in 632, 4th PDRA race, and then she ran the race in Bradenton earlier in the year.
Got it. When PDRA competition, she's never lost before the semifinals.
Correct.
That's huge for any driver.
And you two guys will back me up as well as everybody else will. That's how you go win a championship.
Absolutely.
We've seen it in NASCAR. We've seen it in NHRA. There's years where people will go out and not win a race, but they'll be the champion at the end of the year. And it's all about consistency and cutting on win lights. To be able to do that at her age and at her driving skills, she's been an amazing driver in that car. Tommy Franklin won 2 world championships in that car in the PDRA. So everybody knows the hot rod's there. But I can tell you, Amber's not the only one in that field, and Lexi's not the only one in that field that's barking, because I can tell you Clayton Murphy's coming from Florida this weekend, and it's a long way from Florida to Norwalk, Ohio, and he's not bringing that chassis engineering Camaro with Daryl Stewart's up here to do nothing more than play repeat, because they won this race last year, and I can promise you they're coming to do it again.
Oh, yeah. And Lexi, Alan Drinkwater with the old Placino combination, he comes out, wins the season opener. I'd never even heard of the guy. And just he won the entire event. He won on a hole shot. He had a hole shot every round of eliminations.
You like how I said Johnny Placino throws a water bottle and his driver's name Drinkwater, right?
Right.
Sometimes you got to put those in there.
That was smooth. But that class is strong as well.
Yep.
Drinkwater winning the season opener, Franklin winning, the second event. And I feel like it's wide open. Lexi Tanner's right there. Daryl Stewart, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Walt Flanagan jumps in the
The Shameless machine.
Yeah, the Shameless machine. I think it's still owned by Wes, but
Yep.
he is right there, number one qualifier already this season. And Chris Holdorf, he's always in contention in the later rounds trying to get a win. So, I mean, that class is wide open. And you talked about the combinations in Pro Boost. There's a lot of combinations as well in the 632 class.
It's a difficult class for sure. We see a lot of guys playing with transmissions now. There's weight breaks for a power glide for a 3-speed. You take weight for certain other combinations. And you see guys saying, hey, I want that 25 pounds off, or I'll take that 25 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever that may be, to try and get a little bit of a leg up. You see guys make a change and say, man, I'm going in with this combo. And you come back to the next race and you're like, they didn't stick with that one. That one didn't work. So you see guys making changes a lot. And that's a class where it's not a horsepower game. Like you got to have horsepower 100%. But once you max it out, it's over. That's all she's got. There's not turning on another kit. There's not throwing another gear. It's what it is what it is. And you really have to fine tune that. You see a lot of guys playing with converters. Drinkwater now back with a clutch. There's a couple other guys with a clutch that are playing with clutch setups, disc sizes, all of that type stuff, gear ratios. That's where that class is really taking a jump. And we see that in the elapsed times. You see that with Darrell Stewart, with the shameless car that Lanigan's in now, that's won 2 championships. You know that car's not a duck. And there's none out there. It's absolutely insane how tight these fields are. And I really feel like that it's going to be a one of those races. And I'm going to go out on a leg and say this. I think you have your third different winner in 632 this week. I do not think you see a repeat winner. I think you see cars that have been right on that edge of getting that first win of the season or first win ever, right there all season long. And I really think you're going to see a different winner for the third time this year in 632 this weekend here at Norwalk.
That's a good call. Like you said, we've seen so many solid players in the class. I think one of the favorites to possibly be that third winner this weekend is Walt Lanigan in the Shameless car. They've consistently been at the top. They qualified number one both races. Just ran into some issues on race day, but they proved the last 2, really 3 seasons that they know how to string together some win lights. So once they get everything all ironed out and get everything hooked up, they're going to be a threat.
And
another
note on that team too, they're from up north. This is basically their home race. I know they've tested here before. They probably got more data here than most teams do. So that team will be one to watch here in Norwalk. That's for sure.
Yeah. And on that note, 632, I know it's known as it started down in Florida. It's primarily been a Southeast class, but they also rounded up in Milan. Do you expect to see some of those cars make the trip down?
I think so, especially even with a resurgence of Milan Dragway. And I'll even bring that up in here. I mean, congratulations to that group of racers that was looking for somewhere to run their hot rods. I'm glad to see Milan Dragway come back. I know who the owner has made a lot of improvements. He's put down some new concrete. He's doing some asphalt work and all that stuff. So it's really good for the sport of drag racing to see Milan Dragway come back. A lot of heads up classes there over the years that have really grown. I know they've jumped into some of our limited drag radio rules, 632 rules as well. Pro Street 10.5 racing there for years was huge.
Oh yeah.
Even dating back to the Nate Pritchett, Adam Pritchett days. From the Outlaws events that they used to host there. Small tire racing and big tire racing has always been a fixture at Milan. So I think we will see that improvement in car count. I think we'll see that in Pro Street. I think we'll see that in 632, Nate. I really do. I think we'll pick up some cars. We did last season whenever we were here, and those cars came in, and there were a couple that you go, oh boy, the old PDRA crew gonna have their hands full. So I think we'll see that same thing this season, and we hope to see those cars come out and enjoy themselves here at PDRA. When it comes down to it, let's be honest, that's what we're all here for. We're here to enjoy here to enjoy racing and here to enjoy our sport and everybody's investments into this sport, whether that be from a media standpoint with Drag Illustrated, from a series standpoint with the PDRA, from a facility standpoint with Summit Motorsports Park, and from the racer standpoint as well, with their rigs, their programs, their cars, and everything in between. We want to keep that fun in racing, and to be able to do that for everybody is important. And we want everybody to come in the gate as excited as they are whenever they're leaving at the end of the weekend.
So, Tyler, you touched on it earlier about, I think you said D3 in that area, right?
Yep. Yeah, Division 3.
Okay, so that takes us into our elite top sportsman and dragster. And I'll just touch on them real quick. Our season winners in the top sportsman class, Steve Dragowski and Chris Nyergis. And then in the in top dragsters, it's Steve Harris. Or no, wait a minute now. Kyle Harris and Steve Furr. I had it backwards. It's okay.
So you come in with all these notes, and I don't even have a thing in front of me. Come on.
But I'd like to touch on Kyle Harris's win because that class is dominated by dragsters, obviously. Here he comes with a altered running 380s.
From Canada.
Yeah, from Canada, right around the corner. So,
yeah.
But my point with all that is, there's a lot of guys running dragsters, and it's I won't say it's easy, but it's easier to get a program down that goes A to B every time. But now you're going to cut that wheelbase almost in half and, put a blower motor on it and go 380s. I mean, that was quite a feat, I feel like, for him to get the win there.
It was. Kyle's been a fixture at PDRA for a couple of years. I know when COVID hit and they locked the borders down, they weren't able to get across. But the last time we saw Kyle, he was making very good strides with that car as far as the consistency goes, and getting that car to be consistent going down the racetrack and still being blazing fast, like you said, going 380s. So seeing that and seeing him come out and get a win was very rewarding for that team, in my opinion. They've worked really hard, and then not being able to come run with us whenever they were locked into Canada during COVID. So that was hard. That was hard for them. I know that for a fact. But to be able to see them come out and be successful, grab a win, I think that might have been his first PDRA win as well. So to take that 660 man home to Canada had to be special. And like you said, this is another instance, Royer. This is Kyle's home race. This is the closest race for him all season. So I can promise you he's coming in with another gun loaded, and he's going to try to come out and leave Norwalk with the points lead.
And another key feature to both top sportsman and top dragster, they've been all 3-second fields on the elite side this year.
Yep.
At everywhere been. And the number one qualifier in top sportsman could have been almost top half pro nitrous.
Yeah, we have that discussion a lot in the tower.
That is ridiculous.
We've got some of we do have the fastest top sportsman, top dragster cars in the world. I'm not even going to say we almost or we try or anything like that. We do have the quickest and fastest top sportsman, top dragster cars. And it's flat out unreal to see some of these drivers come out and you think, man, it's early in the morning, track's going to be a little chilly or it's a little green from touching up the scrape overnight. And then the first car down the racetrack goes 380 and you're like, never mind. It's pretty solid. And I've told a lot of people, I think some of our elite cars have better car setups than some of our pro cars do. Because they don't get that fresh prep in front of them all the time. They have to go down a racetrack that's had 60 other top sportsman cars in front of them before they got to touch it. And to see that the consistency of those cars to be able to do it lap after lap is extremely impressive. And them, it's just flat out impressive. There's really no other words to say it.
Well, I mean, you said it right there. It's not the fact that they go that fast. It's that they consistently go that fast. I mean, a pro nitrous guy, if they come out and both shake the tires, he can still win by coasting through. But most of the time, your bracket guys are going to go A to B, and they're doing it at an extremely accelerated rate. Is the easiest way to put that. 3.7.
And like we've talked about it as well. Those guys, they're not driving one end of the racetrack; they're driving both.
Right.
They've got to turn loose when the top amber comes on, and then they're down there driving the finish line, tagging the brake pedal, throwing the chutes early. God forbid, womping on it. I just went completely bracket racer Tennessee redneck on you guys.
That's okay.
But I mean, you see those drivers driving both ends of the racetrack, and it's fun. Like I tell fans all the time, hey, whenever top sportsman, top dragster come up, go like mid-track. Go mid-track or farther down in the grandstands and go watch those guys inside the car and inside the cage and the dragsters. You can see them moving around looking for the guy beside them. And, man, they're doing that at 180 to 200 miles per hour. And it's flat out impressive with what the decisions that they make in those cars that wind lights come down to inches, literally.
Well, I'm out of notes, man. And
thank God. I'm out of breath.
But, just to recap, Norwalk, Ohio, Summit Motorsports Park, and all of our usual classes with the addition of bikes and Pro Street. And since we got a quick second, Tyler, go ahead and if you want to, prelim a little bit about the next event on the tour.
Yeah, we head to Budds Creek, Maryland, back to the house that Royce Miller built and now back currently owns. We're glad to see Maryland back in Royce's hands. It almost didn't feel right without that Miller ownership, but those couple of years that it wasn't. But we're glad to have Royce and Maryland International Raceway back on schedule. That'll be race number 4, be the midpoint way for the season, and we'll continue to rock that out. That's June 23rd through the 25th. So it's the last week of June. So we're exactly 1 month away from Maryland. And then after that, we're a couple weeks later, we get to go to the house that Tommy built at Virginia Motorsports Park. And then we'll be there for the 5th race of the year and then go back there for Pro Stars and Night of Fire on July 30th. And speaking of Pro Stars, I'll touch on that before we shut this bad boy down. I'm sure Nate's like, God, I wish he would shut up. But the Pro Stars event is going to be one for the ages. Summit Racing Equipment's back on board for the title sponsorship of that. We're making a couple little small changes. Some things I think everybody will enjoy. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We learned a lot in our first year. Not going to say we learned what not to do, but we learned what's going to be something that people like and what people enjoy. We're going to add a little bit of twist to it on the racetrack and off the racetrack this year. We've got John Langston and Adam Doliak and PJ North coming in to do a concert that will mix in through the entire event. We're going to try to make this as much of a festival off the racetrack as it is on the racetrack. Jet cars, nostalgia funny cars, Tom Bailey's Sick Week shootout. We've got a lot of extra stuff that's going to really make this event something that's one for the ages. That's on July 30th at Virginia Motorsports Park. Check us out online, racevmp.com and PDRA660.com for all the details on Pro Stars. We finally got I'm going to say all of our big events, but we got 2 big events behind us at VMP. So our next big target is Night of Fire coming up here in a little over 2 months. So we're really getting that turned up, and Pro Stars is going to be the headlining act. We're really trying to turn the fold on that program. We're still collecting points for that. This will be the Norwalk race this weekend. Will be race 6 for Pro Stars. Maryland will be race 7, and then Virginia will be the last chance to grab points to make it into the Pro Stars race on July 30th. And then when we go to Maple Grove in August, the points will basically reset for Pro Stars. So then Pro Stars points reset at Maple Grove, and then they rebuild themselves again next season until we get to the 5th race of the year. So being able to do that through the year kind of gives us a little added, hey, you need to make sure you make it out to all the races, because to be a part of Pro Stars last year was special from the first year. But I can tell you, the first year was just a warm-up. This year's going to be one for the ages, and I'm not going to say that I'm more excited than anything to have this race get here, but I think it's going to be one of those races that if it does go according to plan, everybody on planet Earth is going to know about Pro Stars after this one.
That's exciting to say the least, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why we talk about whole shots, number 1 qualifiers, because all that goes to that Pro Stars point series. So that's going to be and I tell you, for the first inaugural event last season, I thought it went great, and anybody that was there knew they were involved in something special. And so hopefully that word's gotten out, and the other racers now want to be a part of that, because that was a fun show to sit back and just be a part of, or to even be a spectator. It was an awesome time, and it sounds like that you guys have added a whole lot more to the lineup for this time around.
All we did was make it harder on us, bud.
Right.
No, but it'll be a really fun deal, and that's the that's the whole program with Pro Stars. That was the deal when Tommy and I sat down and said, hey, look, we need to do something that's going to be different and special. You look at other series that do a race within a race and do things like that. And we sat down and we're like, man, we really need something to do with our Night of Fire event at Virginia. I mean, that was how this deal started. And we've been saying for a long time that, hey, we want to do something different with PDRA. We want to mix this up and make something really neat for like a one-time, this is not normal weekend for our racers and all of our fans. And really that's how this deal started. And to see it where, you earn a spot in Pro Stars with your points and it's free entry fee. There's no entry fee for these racers that make it in to come out and run for big time money. Last year we paid over $55,000 at Pro Stars, and there were no entry fees for any of that money. And man, it was one of those races where you knew it was something special, and it was like, I'm on the ground floor of this. This was the very first one, and when it was over, everybody said this is going to be really something to build on going forward. And I really feel like we took a big swing at it this year. I hope it goes good. Because it was a lot of it was me going, I think this will be cool. But our main goal at Pro Stars is to build a show almost like a monster truck show. And I know that sounds terrible, and you go, what in the world is he talking about? But to be able to open the gates at, let's just say for an example of 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and tell everybody, hey, look, when you walk in the door at 3 o'clock, there's going to be a concert at 3:30. There's going to be driver intros at this. There's going to be first round here, back to the stage for this, back to this, blah, 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 blah. And boom, 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 boom. You got a show for 6 hours, 7 hours, and you keep people tied into that. Then a fan feels like, man, what's going next? And you always have something to punch them in the face and go, hey, you need to be over here because we got something else going on. Or you need to go to the stage because the chip draw or driver introductions or autographs or racing's going on in the stands. You need to be there. So really a show that, not going to say never ending, but it's like the hits just keep on coming. We've heard that for a long time that, hey, look, where's the next hit come from? And that's really how we built this event from the ground floor up, is where's the next hit going to come from? And this is something that I feel like will be something to grow on going forward. And we really have a lot that we can add to this, even with the lineup that we have now. That's going to be a tough one to pull off, even with the, basically you're going to build this by the minute of where you have to be and where you need to be and how many pairs need to go down the racetrack and all of that. So it'll be a tough one to put together on the back end, but it should be one heck of a show to see whenever the spectacle comes together. And let's just be honest, I want to do it at Virginia because, number one, it's home. I get to sleep in my bed. I don't get to do that very often, so that's fun. And number two, we're the only racetrack in the world that has the Musco LED lights, and we're going to be able to put those bad boys to work and put on some music, put on some light shows, throw some fireworks in the air at the end of the night, and put on one hell of a show on July 30th.
It sounds like it's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. I can tell you. Yeah. So that pretty much that's all I got for tonight, and I guess basically we hope you see everybody this weekend out at Norwalk. If not,
I got one more thing, and I'm gonna put him on. I'm gonna put him right there on it. Nate Van Wagnen, your turn, sir.
Okay.
3 picks.
Oh boy.
Who's it gonna be this weekend? Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, Pro Stock. Scotty and I can't say anything because then it's favorites. Because if I say something, oh man, hey, so he fixed that.
Well, it's rigged, yeah.
And if Scotty picks something, hey man, that was the announcer. He just called it out wrong. So Nate, you're on the hot seat. Who's your winner this weekend? Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, Pro Stock. Let's hear it.
Oh man, I wasn't prepared at all for that.
Yes, I love
it. Pro Nitrous, like we talked about, Halsey, he's back in race winning form. It's hard not to count him out. I think I'm going to go with Tommy Franklin though. They've been consistent, just creeping up on it. I think Norwalk is going to be their kind of breakout weekend this season. Pro Boost, it's so hard to pick in Pro Boost right now. You can really throw a dart at the qualifying sheet, and there's a good chance whatever you land on, they're going to win. I think we're going to see Todd Totoro go some rounds again. Can he go 3 in a row? That would be.
Would that be a first time in PDRA? I'm asking that because I don't know.
Maybe going back to the first season.
I don't know.
Kevin Rivenbark had some pretty dominant stretches there in the beginning, but if Todd can pull that off, that'd be huge. The Pro Line cars, I think they're right there with him. Johnny Camp, this is somewhat of a local race for him. I think he's going to be a threat. Kurt Stedding, like we talked about, he's got that same Todd Totoro horsepower. I know he's hungry for his win, so I'm going to go with Kurt this weekend.
Good pick. I think that's solid. I will say that.
That, like you said, that's a tough class to pick, man. It's it's hard not to have a pretty solid pick in that one, and the next class is going to be just as tough with Extreme Pro Stock. Yeah, and Pro Stock's tough because no matter who I pick, I know I'm going to get some feedback, you could say, from a handful of the competitors out there.
I set you right up for failure on this one.
You really did, yeah. Pro Stock, man, it's tough. I think one of the people, someone who has some momentum right now is JR Carr. Like we talked about earlier, he's been top of the heap in qualifying, going back to really the World Finals like a couple years ago. But I think this is going to be the weekend that things go his way on race day.
So I'm going to give you 3 racers to watch, and I'm going to leave it at this. Pro Nitrous, I think you watch Jay Cox. Jay's been quietly picking at it, and I think this might be a weekend where you see Jay turn on a couple more win lights. Second person I think you need to watch in Pro Boost is Scott Wildgust in Smokey's Garage Car. Coming out of Canada, first year with PDRA. I think he's one to watch for sure. And third, in Extreme Pro Stock, keep your eyes on Elijah Morton, kids. Big power going out the quarter mile last weekend or 2 weekends ago at Virginia. Elijah's always due one. He won this race last year. Don't think that those boys aren't coming back up here to get it again. So that's my 3 racers to watch. Nate, you're on the hot seat, my friend.
Can we get some security or someone to go around with me in the pits?
I got you. No problem.
Okay, cool. We might need some backup.
Exactly. All I'm going to say is, Scotty, thanks for having me this weekend. I know I'm not as pretty as your other co-host last time, so I filled in for Derrick this weekend. Maybe Derrick can fill in for me on the microphone because I know I can't do it as good as he can. Scotty, looking forward to having you back this weekend. Nate, thank you as well. And to everybody that came in and watched PDRA Live this weekend, get ready for one hell of a show this weekend. It's coming to you from the house that Bader built right here in Norwalk, Ohio.
I don't think I can say much more than that, man. We look forward to seeing you. I'll see you on Thursday afternoon, maybe for first round of qualifying, depending on the weather. Like I said, stay tuned to the PDRA Facebook page and PDRA660.com for any and all changes that may occur this weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.